Hey, welcome back to another episode of Whip It Like Butter. It's your girl Ashley, y'all, and today, of course, we're making another pound cake recipe, and the main ingredient for this one is cinnamon. Okay, here she is. We made a cinnamon roll pound cake. Ooh, with cream cheese glaze and everything. I topped it with nuts just, for a little pizzazz. We don't need that. But, y'all, it's gonna taste just like a cinnamon roll. For real. That's the idea, right? So we're not gonna talk about it too much. We're gonna go ahead and get into it. So I'm gonna show y'all how to whip it like butter. Alright, let's go. Alright, y'all, so we're going to start off by preparing our cinnamon swirl. So we're using unsalted butter. That's at room temperature. We're using ground cinnamon. Alright, and then we're using some light brown sugar. You can use light or dark. And then I'm going in here with my hand mixer. Alright, I know I don't usually use a hand mixer, but this is a two-step thing. I figured this would be easier. So I just started by blending a little bit, and then we're going to go ahead and add our milk. I didn't know if I wanted to use milk or if I just want to do a crumble. You may want to try just with the crumble without the milk, but I liked it or whatever. Let's soften up that texture, make it kind of like batter consistency. So I'm adding a little bit of milk because I just want it a little bit looser, and then coming in with that last bit of mix, and then I'm gonna come in and finish mixing it by hand just to get everything combined and off scraping the sides and all that type of stuff. And we're going to set that to the side and we're going to prepare our batter. So here we are with our unsalted room temperature butter. We're going to give that a quick blend and then we're going to slowly add in our sugar, add it in a little bit at a time until we have it all blended. And we're going to whip this together for about 2-3 minutes. As like I tell you before, it's more of a look than a time. So once it reaches the blended consistency and it's nice, light, and fluffy, we're going to stop it. So about here, okay? And so once we get to this point, we're going to go ahead and add our eggs. So I didn't have to stop it here because I knew I, was good to go. So we're going to add our eggs one at a time and we're going to mix one after each addition. All right. And so you want to make sure that that egg is really well blended before you add your next one and that your eggs are at room temperature. And so you see how this changes the batter? It's all nice and silky almost, okay? So letting that last egg mix in there. And then we're going to do something different today, okay? Instead of using regular vanilla, we're using vanilla bean paste, y'all. And I really liked it. I didn't put in a dish to pour because you can see it's kind of thick. And so I wanted to get all that goodness in there. So I just went ahead and measured it and threw it in there into the batter. All right. And then we're going to add our flour and we're going to alternate it with our buttermilk, which is also at room temperature. So you want to start with your flour always, and you want to end with your flour. And you can do this in 3 parts, 4 parts, however many parts. The most important part is to start with your flour and end with your flour. And so I just left a quick little part of the video here. I always blend, unless I'm doing my butter and my sugar at the lowest setting. So of course I didn't blend my batter this fast. Especially since you're adding flour, you don't want your flour to kick out, and I don't use a guard, but still you don't want your flour to kick out. All right, so I mix the last bit by hand. Just a pro tip, so you make sure that you don't over mix your batter. And then we're going to spray the hell out that pan with that baker's joy all up in the creases and the crevices so we can make sure that we can minimize or at least prevent our sticking as much as possible. Okay, and then we're going to lay that batter into this pan. Now, I lay my batter and then I applied the cinnamon swirl topping. I think if I would do it all again, I would like lay the batter, then lay the swirl. Lay the batter, lay the swirl, like next to each other, almost like with my marble cake recipe. You can go and see that recipe piece so you can see what I'm talking about. Just so the blend of the cinnamon swirl would have been different. Still enjoyed how the cake came out. I still feel like it came out great. But if I could do it all over again, that's what I would choose. Or even instead of smoothing the top, no, I would do like I said before, just so to make sure to get that cinnamon swirl all throughout this cake. But I didn't want it to like fuse together. You know what I mean? I may come back and do this later. But this is what I did just in like a circular fashion, just to get that cinnamon swirl into the batter. And it was still wonderful. Okay. So we want to bake this cake in our preheated oven at 325 degrees for about an hour, 15 hour and 20 minutes. All right, our cake is cooked for 20 minutes, so it's time to flip that thing out of this pan. All right, and voila. And we did have a little bloop, but it's okay. We're gonna cover this with icing. You know, sometimes things happen. That was the only area. I try to be transparent with y'all. You know, sometimes things happen. So we're gonna make our icing. So we're using powdered sugar, butter, cream cheese. We're using vanilla, and I opted to use heavy cream. You can use um, milk if you wanted to, but since this was a cream cheese frosting, I wanted to have that extra thickness. So I used about a 1/3 cup total. You may want to use a little bit less than me. It just depends on what consistency you want your icing to be. So just add your heavy cream a little bit at a time until it reaches the consistency you want. But of course, the less that you use, the richer your cream cheese flavor will be. So keep that in mind as well. Definitely just up to you. All right, so this is the look I wanted because I didn't want it to be like drippy, if that makes sense. I just wanted it to be thick and go over the cake. And I should let the cake cool a little bit more, but I'm still pleased with how it came out. So I'm just over here freestyling, applying the icing to the cake. Let a little bit of the icing drip into the middle. I don't typically do that because I don't like it like that wetness is at the bottom of the cake. But this cake ended up being okay because sometimes it makes the bottom of the cake a little soggy. And I should turn my fan off first, but I hit it with a little cinnamon on top, and then I just put some pecans on here for pizzazz. The cake doesn't need pecans. It's a cinnamon roll pound cake, you know. But just, you know, to lift how the look of it was with the icing and for it to not be so plain. I said we're gonna cut into that thing, y'all, because that cake cut so nicely. All right. And I got so excited. It was still a little warm. I never cut my cakes while they're warm. I know better, but it was just one of those days. All right, and there's our cut, and then we're gonna go ahead and get into this taste test. Okay, y'all ready? I always ask y'all if y'all ready, like y'all here with me, but it's all right. Okay, so here we are. You know, favorite part, the bottom. I gotta close my eyes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Got that pound cake crunch. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it. Let's try with a little more. You know what? Pause. I got this little piece right here, but pause. I'm gonna put a little extra icing on that plate and taste it with a little extra icing. All right, that's why we keep a little extra icing on the side, so you can rub it all over the cake, put it all over the cake, however you want to do it. I'm gonna do it just like that. Mmm, my cream cheese is so soft, melt in your mouth. Y'all, go ahead and get this recipe in the description box below. I always post a direct link to the website so you can get a printable recipe in the comments as well. Don't be stingy. Make sure that you share and join us back over here for more and with the like butter. All right, bye. Yes, indeed. Maybe. Okay, right here. Mmm.